So in this video, we're going to be setting up a Laravel project that is going to be the project that we're going to use for the entire course. We're going to set up this project. We're also going to seed the database and also have a dummy user that we're going to be using throughout this course for any user related operations, and also for what we came here for, the Laravel AI SDK. Yeah, we're going to be setting up the Laravel AI SDK. We're going to be giving it our API keys, and we're going to have, at the end of the day, a project that is able to interact with our LLM providers within Laravel. So let us get started. The first thing we're going to do is scaffold a new Laravel project. And for that, I'm going to say Laravel new AI SDK course. Laravel new AI SDK course. That's going to be the name of the folder that this project is going to live in. And I'm going to hit enter so that process kickstarts. So first it tells me that a new version of Laravel is available. Do I want to update? No, not while I'm creating a course. Which starter kit will I like to install? That will be none, because we're not using any front-end stuff in this course. We're actually going to be running all our demos through the API. Now, testing unit, just for the sake of selecting, I'm going to pick PHP unit. Now it tells me if I want to install Laravel Boost to improve AI assisted coding. We're not going to be doing any AI assisted coding in this course, so no, I don't want Laravel Boost. We're actually going to be using AI in this course. We're not using it to code. We're actually integrating AI features into our Laravel application. So it will be a no for Boost. So it's creating our project, downloading dependencies, and then we get to the database section. Now, you can go with SQLite, at least for the first few sections of this course. But when we start doing the RAG related operations, then we might need to move to Postgres. Now for me, I'm just going to go with Postgres at the very start of this project. But if you don't have Postgres installed, you can use SQLite to follow up till we get to the RAG section. It is only needed for the RAG section. The RAG operations that the Laravel SDK can perform, it can only do it with Postgres. For now, it only supports Postgres. So I'm going to go to Postgres for now, so that I know that I have PG vector that I can then use for my vector stores. Default database, would you like to run the migrations? For now, we won't run the migrations. We'll be running that later when we have our SDK installed. So I'm going to say no. Then for npm install, yeah, just install, just do npm install. And let's get started. Let's get this project started. So all the npm stuff is done, and now we can proceed. Now the next thing we're going to do, first let us go into our project. So cd AI SDK course. Let's go into our project. Then let me just clear the screen so that we get rid of all the previous processes. And the very next thing we're going to be doing is to install the Laravel AI SDK. We're going to be installing the Laravel AI package so that we can then use it to do all our AI integrations in this course. Now to install that, you need to run composer require Laravel /AI. Composer require Laravel /AI. So hit enter for that, and it will install the SDK in no time. And just after a few seconds, that is done. So once again, let us clear our screen. We have the Laravel AI SDK installed. Now the next thing we need to do is to bring in the configuration for this AI SDK and also the migrations. The AI SDK ships with a config file, and it also has its own database migrations that we're going to see what is being used for later on. So we need to publish them, and to do that, we'll say PHP artisan, then we'll say vendor publish -- provider equals, then we'll give it the name of the Laravel AI SDK provider. That will be Laravel /AI. Note the AI is lowercase I, /AI service provider. Then you end quote. So PHP artisan vendor colon publish dash dash provider equals Laravel AI service provider. So hit enter for that, and that is just going to be done in the blink of an eye. So now we have those files in our application. If I do cd config and we do ls, we can now see ai.php. ai.php, that's the config file. So we have all that set up, including the AI service provider, and it has also brought in the migration files. If we go out of our config folder and say cd database, inside our migrations, say cd migrations and do ls, you can see this create agent conversations table migration that creates two tables. If I say cat 2026, this will create two tables, and those two tables are agent conversations and agent underscore conversations underscore messages. We're going to be seeing it in a later video where we are building a conversational agent. So let's clear this and go back to the root of our project. So that's good. I think it's time we open up this project in a code editor. Yeah, instead of using command line. So I'm going to be opening up this project in VS Code. Feel free to open it in any editor of your choice, and I'll be seeing you in VS Code next. So here in VS Code, we have our project open up, AI SDK course. And the next and final thing we're going to be doing in this video is that we're going to be bringing our OpenAI key and our Gemini key and putting them in our environment file. That's our .env file. This is where you add your LLM authentication keys. So I'm just going to scroll down and create a new section. Going to put a comment and say AI keys, or should I say AI provider keys, or LLM provider, whatever. LLM provider keys. So the first key we're going to be adding is the OpenAI key. Like I said, for this course, OpenAI is going to be like our default. Sometimes we'll be switching to Gemini for what it does best, but you can use Anthropic, you can use Cohere, you can use Mistral, any provider that you're familiar with, as long as it is supported by Laravel AI. And if we go to our config file, we can actually see the LLMs or LLM providers that are supported for now, at least going by the config file. If you go to the providers section, you see Anthropic, you see Cohere, DeepSeek is also supported. You can also use 11 Labs for your voice related operations. Then we have Google Gemini, we have Grok without the K, and we have Gina, we have Mistral, and we have Olama, we have OpenAI, we have OpenRouter, we have Voyage AI, and we have XAI, which is the Grok with the K. So these are, going by this file, these are the supported providers. So, and you can see you can also use local models. As you can see, we have Olama supported here. So yeah, for this one, we're going to be configuring the OpenAI and the Gemini API keys. The OpenAI key, if we scroll down here, you see the environment variable we need to set is OpenAI underscore API underscore key. So I can just copy that and put it here and say equals. Then I'm going to go and grab my OpenAI key and paste it in here. So key copied and key pasted. Next is going to be the Gemini key, and that is going to be the Gemini underscore API underscore key environment variable. So I'm just going to copy that and we'll set that down here too. Gemini API key. I'll also go and grab this key and paste it here. So key grabbed and key pasted. Awesome. Awesome. Make sure that this step is done, else you will not be able to interact with your LLM providers. Now let's go up here. Let's go up here. No, not here. Inside the config. Yeah, inside the config file for the AI SDK. If we scroll up here, you're going to see some defaults. You're going to see some defaults. Now this is the default settings that come with the AI SDK, at least as at the time of recording this course, which is around February 2026. These are the defaults that come with it. The default for everything is OpenAI. Default for everything is OpenAI. You can change it to any of the names that are configured down here. Make sure that the names match. So any of the names that are configured down here in your providers array, you can change it. For images, the default is Gemini. For audio, the default is OpenAI. You can change it to 11, which is for 11 labs. You can change it if you want that. Transcription, default is OpenAI. Embeddings, which is for RAG related stuff, default is OpenAI. And for a ranking, which is also a RAG related strategy, uses Cohere. So these are your defaults. Change them, but know what you're doing. Don't just jumble stuff around. There's a range of support that these models have for different operations. Some of them are not multimodal. Some models are not multimodal. For example, you don't want to use something like Anthropic for generating images because I don't think that's their focus. So you want to use something like Gemini. You want to use OpenAI for generating images. If you want your voicing operations to be very customizable, to be very robust, you want to use something like 11 Labs. So change this, but know what you're doing. Know that you're putting the right models or the right providers in the right place based on their strengths. Now in this video, we're going to be learning about agents in the Laravel AI SDK. Now, an agent is the nucleus of all your AI operations using the Laravel AI SDK. Now, what's an agent? An agent is simply an autonomous system that you can give a set of instructions, you can give context, you can supply with tools, and you can also tell it the format that you want it to output its result. Now you might be wondering, is this as sophisticated as the OpenClaws, the Moltbots, the Claude codes I've been hearing about? Well, not so much. In Laravel, agents are quite simple and focused. Not all the multi-agent systems you're seeing out there. This is not like the LangChain framework that is very, very robust. If you want to learn such stuff, deep agents, multi-agent systems, I have courses on that on this platform that you can go and learn on LangChain. But for Laravel, agents are just focused into specialized units that are autonomous. You can give them instructions, a system prompt that tells the AI what it is and how to behave. You can give it a conversation context. For example, if you are trying to build a chatbot, you want it to remember previous messages. So you can do that. We're going to be covering that in a later topic, as you can see here. You can also give it capabilities, because that is actually the selling point of agents. Agents can call external systems, they can call external APIs, they can read their environment, they can act on their environment. So you can give them extra capabilities. We're also going to be covering that in this course. You can also define the output, the type of output that you want it to give. By default, it will give a textual output, just like the LLMs are doing by default. But in a programmatic setting, when you are using an agent within your system, you might want it to produce a structured output, more like a JSON response, an array, a particular value to be an integer. So you want to do that so that you can seamlessly fuse with the APIs of the other components that you are interacting with. So that's basically what an agent is. In Laravel, is a PHP class. You create it as a PHP class, and then you can have it use some traits, implement some classes, and then you can give it those extra capabilities as needed. So that's basically what agents are: a reusable configured AI personality that you prompt as needed throughout your application. But talk is cheap. Let us create our very first agent. I'm going to pull up my command line. The application is still running, so that's fine. I'm just going to create a new terminal session, still within our project folder at the root of the project. To create a new agent, you run the command php artisan make agent. That's how you create an agent. PHP artisan make agent. Now I'm going to call this agent hello world, because this is like our hello world to agent. So the name of my agent is going to be hello world agent. PHP artisan make agent hello world agent. Hit enter, and your agent is going to be created inside the app/ai/agents folder. That's where your agents will be created by default. You can check that here. App, you see this AI folder, agents, hello world agent. That's our agent. You've created your very first agent. Let us explore the file. Let's see what it looks like. So first we have hello world agent, which implements the agent class from the Laravel AI package. So this marks it as an agent. It also implements conversational, which we're going to be seeing much later. This helps it to maintain a message history for multi-turn conversations, and that comes with this particular function, this messages function. This is how you define how you want the messages to be returned. And it also implements as tools. It implements as tools. So with this, you have the tools function where you can add all the tools that your agent is going to be able to use. This can be custom tools, as we're going to see later in another section, and you can also use some tools that come with the Laravel AI SDK. Let's scroll up. If we come down here, you'll see that it implements, or rather it uses this promptable trait. And what this does is that it gives it access to prompting functions, different types of prompting functions, like prompt. There's a function called prompt that we're going to be using to prompt basically throughout this course. There's also a stream function that you can use to stream your output. There's also a make function that you can use to create new instances of your agents. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that in action very, very soon. The first function here, which is the only function that is actually compulsory for this agent setup, we can ditch conversational, we can ditch as tools. It's not compulsory that our agents should be conversational, that is operating a chatbot style, or have tools. It's not compulsory, but we have to have our instructions method. We have to have the instructions method, because this is where we define the system prompt for the LLM. And what this does is that it tells the agent what to be and what it is to do. So this is where you say things like, you are a professional technical writer, you are a professional PHP developer, you are a professional Laravel developer. Your task is to create Laravel apps that build AI agents. Anything you want it to do, this is where you define it. And we're going to be doing that a lot through the course of this Laravel AI SDK course. So instructions are how you pass your system instructions. If you are implementing conversational, you have a messages function for you to define how your messages tree is to be sent back to the LLM. And if you are implementing the as tools class or contract, you also need to have a tools method where you're going to put in your tools here. Like I said, we're going to be doing all that very, very soon. But for now, let us have an hello world moment for our agent. We've created our agent. We can use this like this. We just tell it to a helpful assistant. Yeah, we can just use it like this, and it's going to function just like a typical LLM. We didn't give it any persona, we didn't define any specific tasks, so we're just going to be using it just the same way you go into a chatbot and you just ask it any question. To make use of it, let us pull up our command line. We're going to create a controller. I'm going to create a controller for this demo. I'm going to say PHP artisan make controller, and we put it in API / chapter 2, because we're now in chapter 2. Say chapter 2 / agent prompting controller. This chapter is all about prompting agents, so this is the controller that we're going to be using for almost all our demos. So agent prompting controller. Let it enter. Good. That has been created. I think we can close out of this. Now we can go to our controller file, which is here in chapter 2. Bring this back a little bit and open agent prompting controller. Agent prompting controller. Let's open that. The first thing we're going to bring in is our hello world agent. So we'll bring that in, and we also bring in JSON response. So I'm just going to say use illuminate JSON response. We'll pick that, and we're good. Now inside our controller, we will then create an hello world method, which is the method that we're going to be running. So public function hello world, which will return an instance of JSON response. Then inside this function, the first thing we're going to do is create an instance of our hello world agent. Now there are different ways you can do this. You can say agent equals new hello world agent. So you can just use the new keyword to create a new instance of your agent. So that's one way. You can also say agent equals hello world agent, then you call the make method. Call the make method, and it will also give you an instance of your agent. So I'm getting this red squiggly line for hello world agent. I know I have my hello world agent here, but I think, oh, this app, sorry, this is app, not API. No wonder I didn't get the drop down for hello world agent. So this is app, not API. So we create a new instance of our agent. Then we can then take that agent and say agent and prompt it. We can simply prompt it, and we can prompt it with anything we want. So I'm going to say, hello, what are you and what can you help me with? Yeah, let's just ask it that. And it's going to return a response that we can capture in a variable. Going to return a response, and we can capture that in a variable. And from this controller handler, you can simply return a JSON response. So I'm just going to say response JSON. Then we return an array in our JSON. First, I'm going to mark the demo because I want us to be knowing the demos we're running. So that's something we're going to be doing a lot in this course. So this is going to be basic prompt, which is our hello world demo. And for the response, simply return a response parameter. Now you can return the response as is, and it's going to give you the full LLM response, breaking it down into the user's part, the AI's part, and all that. But if you just want to get the AI's response back as a string, you can cast this to a string. Cast this to a string, and it's simply going to return the string response, the actual response that the AI returns, which is what you care about. Now let me put a colon here so that I get rid of the errors. Good. Yeah, and this is our hello world handler. This is our hello world handler, and the next thing we're going to do is to create a route that is going to call this. So I'm simply going to go to routes, go to routes API, and the first thing we're going to do is to bring in our agent prompting controller. Let's get that in. Just going to copy this and come down here. This will be chapter 2. And here I'll change this to chapter 2. And we're going to bring in the agent prompting controller. Agent prompting controller. Then I'm going to collapse this chapter 1 routes. So I can come down here and create a chapter 2 route group. So route prefix. And here we'll say chapter 2. Create a new group. Give it a function. And inside here, let me just put the, semicolon. And inside here, we're going to create the route for our hello world demo. That'll be route. Let's make it a get because we're not sending anything. We'll say hello world. And this is going to take our agent prompting controller and the handler method for that controller, which is our hello world method. No, not this. This is our agent. Let's go here and get our hello world method. So yeah, hello world. So that's good. We have this set up. Now we can test this route. We don't need to restart our server because Laravel already takes care of that. It takes care of all the updates. So what we're just going to do is jump into Postman. I'm going to grab this endpoint. It's a get endpoint, so let's keep that in mind. Get endpoint. So we come here. We have a get endpoint here that already uses bearer token, so we can just use that. Let me pull this down. And here we're just going to call chapter 2. And this will be hello world. Chapter 2 API /chapter 2 /hello world. We're going to call this endpoint. And now it is actually going to prompt our LLM and get us a response. What we are telling our LLM to do, let's go back here. The prompt we're sending to our LLM is, hello, what are you and what can you help me with? So let us go here and prompt this, hoping that we don't have any errors. So it seems to be sending the request. And soon enough, we should get our response back. So currently we're getting an error, and after a few checks, I think it's from here, the way I'm calling JSON, I think I did a double bracket here. Yeah. So yeah, I can't call this this way. So yeah, make sure you correct that. Now if we go back to Postman and run this request once again, yeah, we now get our response. So our demo is basic prompt, hello world. And the response, because we asked it, what we told it is that what are you and what can you do for me? So it's giving us this response. It says, I'm an AI assistant, a language model. I can understand and generate text and also interpret images you share to help you get things done or learn something faster. We're using OpenAI, and I believe it is using a multimodal model. That is why it's telling us that it can also interpret images. And it says, here are some ways I can help you: answer questions and explain concepts, writing help, planning and brainstorming, image-based help, and all that. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. So that's cool and all. This is our hello world demo, and we're getting a response back. But let us try and send a prompt. Through our request. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this method, going to duplicate it here, but we'll call this one prompt with input. We'll call it prompt with input, and it will take in our request object. I believe our request object has been imported here. So we're taking our request object, and the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to validate. We're going to validate our request to check that a prompt is actually being sent. So we'll call validate here, and we'll tell it that it should check for prompt, and want prompt to be required, because you can't send an empty prompt. We want it to be a string, and want to have maximum of 1,000 characters. So that's good. Let me have my semicolon here. Now we can then take our agent, and instead of passing it a hard-coded prompt, we can get our input. We can say prompt equals request input prompt. So get our prompt, and we pass in our dynamic prompt here, the one that the user sends through the request. So we'll send it here, and here I will change the name of the demo. This demo will now be prompt with user input. And just for us to see what we sent, I'm just going to send that prompt back as a user message parameter. So we have prompt here, and we should be good. We're using the same hello world agent, by the way. All it needs is a set of instructions, and the only thing we told is that it is an helpful assistant or a helpful assistant. That's all it needs to run these queries. But now we are passing in a dynamic prompt through the request. So let's see what we get. By the way, you can also create your agent inline. So instead of saying agent this way, we can simply come here and do this. And inside here we'll say new hello world agent. And this will be fine. This is totally fine. For a lot of demos on the Laravel site is actually created this way. So yeah, you can do this. You can create it inline, and now we can create an endpoint for this. I'm just going to copy this endpoint, duplicate it down here, and this particular endpoint we're just going to call it prompt. And this is going to call the prompt with input method. That's what it's going to call. So yeah, we have our new controller method that takes a request, a dynamic prompt, and now we have set up the route for it. So let us test it out in Postman. Let's go to Postman, where we have a post request here. This will be chapter 2 /prompt. And we'll go into the body for this. I'm going to pick form data, and what we need to send is a prompt value. We need to send a payload with a prompt key. Now, what can we ask it? Let's say, what is the capital of France? Yeah, something simple and straightforward like that. What is the capital of France? Let it enter, hoping that we don't have any errors. So it's giving us not allowed. Did we switch that to post? Oh, no, we didn't. We didn't switch this to post. So, sorry, my bad. Yeah, post. Now let's get back here. And now when we run this, our request is going and we have our response back. Super fast. So the user message, what is the capital of France? And the response, Paris. Just straightforward, Paris. Let's ask it another question. Let's say something like, who painted the Mona Lisa? Who painted the Mona Lisa? Good. Says the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Awesome. Simply awesome. So, we have done two things here. We have passed in a dynamic prompt, or rather, we first did our Hello World demo, and now we are passing in a dynamic prompt and we are getting different answers based on different prompts that we're sending. But wait, there's more. What if we want to change the provider? What if we want to use a different provider? Let's say at runtime, we want to say, yeah, we know we set up OpenAI to be the default, but for this particular request, we want you to use Gemini. Why not use Gemini? Let's see how we can do that. Going to go back to VS Code, go back to this prompt with input. Now, your prompt method can take a couple of settings. It can take a couple of settings. Instead of just passing a prompt, you can also pass a provider. You can pass a provider. So you can say something like, provider for this, use Gemini. Don't use OpenAI, use Gemini. And you can also pass the model. You can specify the model you want for this particular operation. Don't just use Gemini. I want you to use Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite for this demo. For this demo, I want you to use Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. So you can configure it. You can get that granular with your configuration. Use Gemini and use Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. So let us go back to our Postman operation. The result that is telling us it was painted by Leonardo da Vinci is not going to change, but it might present it in a different way. But let's just run this. And yeah, Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. But now we are actually getting response from the Gemini model this time. We're getting from the Gemini model this time. Let's see if we can tell it. Let's ask it which model is it. Which AI model are you? Let's see if it can tell it. If it can tell us that. Which AI model are you? You see, it says I am a large language model trained by Google. It wasn't specific, but telling us Gemini, telling us it is 2.5 Flash, but at least it is telling us it was trained by Google. If we go back and get rid of these settings, get rid of these customizations. Let's say this time we now go back here and we ask it the same question. Let's ask it the same question. Which AI model are you? It says I am ChatGPT, and in this session I am running OpenAI's GPT-4 class model. Awesome. So now you can see that these are responses coming from different models. How awesome is that? So yeah, this is your introduction to agents in the Laravel AI SDK, and we've seen how to prompt our model and also to configure a specific model at runtime.